the congressional leadership finally got its act together, finally came to an agreement. We have a stimulus bill. And to take us through it, we welcome now Greg Valliere. He is AGF Investments Chief U.S. Policy Strategist. So, Greg, it's great to have you with us as always. It's about $900 billion, as I understand it. Both sides got something, gave something.
Well, it's better than nothing, David. But I think the bottom line here is that we have avoided a recession in the first quarter. The issue then becomes, what about the second quarter?
Yeah, exactly. How long will this get us through, given what's going on with COVID more generally? Looking forward, is it realistic, given how difficult it was to get this roughly $900 billion through, is it realistic to expect we're going to come back next year and do it again?
We'll get something, I think, next year because they left out a lot. They left out anything on state and local governments, on liability insurance, and most importantly, the unemployment benefits expire on March 14th. I think they're going to have to do a second bill. The issue is it a modest bill or is it a big bill? And that all hinges on the Georgia Senate races.
So tell us about the Georgia Senate races. I mean, the things I've seen so far has the polls, and there are not a lot of polls, let's be honest, in Georgia, that both races are just neck and neck. I mean, really well within the margin of error.
Yeah, very, very close. All the Republicans need to do is take one of the two seats, and they'll control the Senate. If that happens, we'll get a small bill late winter. If, however, the Democrats take both seats, which is not out of the question, they'll control the Senate, and we'll get a bigger bill. But I think one way or another, there was enough left out of this bill that we're going to have to get another one.
So, Greg, in fairness, you cover policy, not so much politics, but the two come together on something like this. As a practical matter, does getting this stimulus, this $900 billion agreement through, does it actually weaken the case of the Democrat challengers there? Because before they could say, you Republicans kept us away from the stimulus, now the Republican incumbents can say, you know what, we delivered.
Well, I think for the next few weeks there'll be a feeling that we got something. People will get a little bit of money that'll help on their rent, things like that. But by the time we get to late winter, and the virus is still going to be very much with us in late winter, then I think there's going to be a clamor to do something more.
It's fascinating. Number one in the hit parade, though, you think is state assistance, that is to say what needs to be done, what didn't get done. Is that number one? And by the way, as I recall, Mitch McConnell say we're not going to even consider that without the liability limitations.
Well, a lot of Republicans think the state and local governments are profligate. They spend way too much money. Actually, some of the states are doing pretty well. States with high-income taxpayers have done well with the stock market this year. But an awful lot of other states, including states headed by Republicans, Texas and Ohio, have not done all that well. So I do think that the rhetoric will continue, but I think there has to be more money in people's pockets. That's the bottom line. People still have a hard time paying for rent and basic expenses.
Greg, assume for the moment that, in fact, the two Democrats don't both win, that is to say, the Republicans maintain at least a narrow lead in the Senate, does the experience of getting this $900 billion package through tell President-elect Biden anything about what he needs to do going forward to work with Congress?
That's a really good question. I think the key variable here, David, is the relationship between Biden and Mitch McConnell. They're colleagues. They have known each other for decades. They understand the Senate. McConnell was the only Republican senator who went to the funeral of Biden's son, Beau. So I do think there's a relationship there, and I do think we can get more done. The tip-off, David, in the next few weeks is what happens to the cabinet nominees. If they go through pretty easily, maybe only one or two hit a snag, that'll be a good sign that we can get things done next year.
Where are we in that process as far as you know, Greg? Because I saw some early reports suggesting that, for example, Janet Yellen, the nominee for Treasury Secretary, might get confirmed as early as the day of the inauguration.
Yeah, she's going to sail through. I mean, she is so popular on Wall Street, so popular on Main Street, so popular on Capitol Hill. She'll sail through. There'll be a few others who will hit a speed bump or two. I'd be shocked if every single one of Biden's nominees got approved. So we're going to go through a lot of that in January into February, and we'll know by mid-February just what kind of an environment we have on the Hill. Is it contentious or is it conciliatory?